Peace, family. It's your brother, Marc Lamont Hill. You're watching the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel. You're listening to the War on Gaza report. Today is day 204 of Israel's war on Gaza. You have to forgive me for appearing so late. I was actually set up to appear early, believe it or not, but my 2-year-old is sick, and I had to tend to him and get him to lay down and get him to feel better, and or at least feel like he could go to sleep. And by the time he went to sleep, I had dozed off with him. That was like 1 o'clock, and then 3 o'clock, and then now. So I said, let me get him situated, but also let me get out. Um, let me get him out. I did not get a break. I'm a little under the weather myself. I've been resting all day between allergies and a cold and fatigue from just nonstop travel. My body slowed me down. But what we will never do is miss the report. And so here we are, day 204. And 204 is such a sobering number. 30 days in a month, 180 days in 6 months. To go to 204 days, very, very close to 7 months. It'll be 7 months next week. It's stunning. It's disappointing. It's frustrating. It's terrifying. We had drawn all of these sort of imaginary red lines, whether it was, 3 months. We can't go more than 3 months. Oh, we can't go more than 6 months. Or whether it was, well, we don't want to do this the holiday, or, oh, we can't do this through Ramadan. Or by the start of Ramadan, there has to be a ceasefire. To the number of nations that were involved, or the number of resolutions in the UN Security Council. All the things were points that we thought would prompt an end, or reflect an end to this vicious genocidal war on Gaza that's been taking place. But unfortunately, so far, nothing has mattered. Like, nothing has mattered. And so here we are. We begin the report with the numbers. As of right now, at least 34,388 Palestinians have been killed. 34,388. And 77,437 have been wounded in Israeli attacks on Gaza since October 7th. The death toll in Israel from Hamas's October 7th attack, it stands at 1,139, with dozens of people still captive in Gaza. They're kidnapped, they're hostages. So the numbers are not changing very much. And by numbers, I mean the rates, the pace, the tempo of death continues to be high. As of now, at least 7 people were killed in an Israeli airstrike on Rafah last night or yesterday. 7 people in an Israeli airstrike is wild. What's even scarier is that that's not the end of what we should be thinking about when it comes to Rafah. Hamas official Khalil al-Hayya says the Palestinian group, Hamas, is reviewing a new Israeli truce proposal, as the Israeli foreign minister says that a planned invasion of Rafah would be suspended if a prisoner swap is reached. Excuse me, if a prisoner deal is reached, or prisoner swap deal is reached. This is helpful for a couple of reasons. I mean, one thing that's important to think about is the kind of looming presence of a Rafah ground invasion. For months now, we keep hearing we're moments away from a ground invasion in Rafah, and the world has said this is a humanitarian disaster. The world has said that this could result in the destruction of not just people or property, but permanently dismantle people's lives. It would lead to mass death. It would be a humanitarian crisis. Even Israel's most treasured allies like Germany and France have said this. And so, in light of that, the question was, why would Netanyahu do it? Well, one easy answer is Netanyahu doesn't give a damn about Palestinians, and if they all die, they all die. Or two, it's not just an indifference to Palestinian lives, but maybe he actually wants them to die, right? This is a more pure, cold-blooded form of ethnic cleansing than we've ever seen before. But there's a third option here that makes sense. It doesn't negate the first two. And that is that the looming threat of a Rafah invasion is the ultimate bargaining chip. As you know, there were 2.2 million people in Gaza. 1.7 of them are unhoused and displaced. Of that 1.7, 1.5 of the 1.7 are in Rafah. Normally, Rafah has 250,000 people, so it goes from 250 to 1.5 million. It's extremely dense. It's extremely dangerous, and it seems that the threat of a Rafah invasion might be the most powerful, kind of deal maker, I'll just say. In other words, maybe Israel hasn't invaded Rafah not because they have restraint, they don't, and not because they love Palestinians, they don't, and they don't listen to the world community. So maybe the whole idea here is that the best way to get their hostages back, the best way to get their soldiers back, the best way to get, these foreign nationals back is to constantly threaten this humanitarian crisis, this humanitarian disaster, constantly threaten a ground invasion, It absolutely makes sense. Yeah. One more quick note before we go. The Israeli army, as of 6 minutes ago, says that it has struck Hezbollah targets in southern Lebanon. The army update comes after Hezbollah said that just a few minutes ago, since we're running late, I might as well give you the latest update, that it had fired dozens of missiles at an Israeli settlement in northern Israel. Since the beginning of the most recent clashes on October 7th between these groups, more than 350 Lebanese and 22 Israelis have been killed in the border exchanges of rocket fire. So this is something we also have to be constantly paying attention to. What's happened now in Rafah and what's happened in northern Israel and what's happened in southern Lebanon is just a fraction of what could happen. That's not even mentioning what's happening in Gaza, what's happened in the Red Sea. I mean, we are at the brink of a full-scale regional war. It won't be a world war, but it'll certainly be a regional war, and it will be very, very dangerous. Kayla says they don't care about those hostages in response to my Rafah analysis. I'm not sure that that's true. I think the Israeli leadership does want its own citizens back. I think they do want their own hostages back, their own kidnapped countrymen back. And the reason is, even if you don't think that they have a love for humanity, and I think they actually do have a love for people for their own citizens. It's like, look, Palestinians aren't people, but we're people, and you can't take us. But it's also a strategic analysis. It's a strategic analysis. If you get your hostages back, if you get all of your captives back, you have no need for any level of restraint. Now, you could say, well, they don't have restraint now. So it says the Hannibal Doctrine. Yeah, the Hannibal Doctrine, though, is for allegedly for soldiers who are to capture in battle, not for private citizens. The reason you don't want private citizens to just die is kidnap people is not because they have some profound personal attachment to them, but it's bad for business. Netanyahu, remember, Netanyahu wants to remain in office and remain in power because as long as Netanyahu is in power, he's not in jail. Well, one surefire way to not be in power is if all your citizens get kidnapped, if they don't feel safe, or if they don't feel like you did everything you could to bring them back home. I mean, there are literally domestic campaigns saying bring them home. If you don't bring them home, Netanyahu, you ain't got a shot at staying in office. I mean, they're already trying to impeach him. They're already trying to replace him. They won another election. But you can't do anything about it if you got dozens of hostages. Not to mention those who have been killed by Israeli fire, and not to mention those who have died in a manner you did not predict. Now you got to deal with this other thing, and it would be a huge mistake. Strategically, I'm talking about. At the human level, they should be rescued because they should just be rescued because they're people, right? I don't care about any policy. Human beings should be liberated, and I don't believe that any of the hostages should be kept captive. Beyond those reasons, Israel, and specifically Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, has a very invested reason to make every effort to release the hostages. If he doesn't, he doesn't have a snowball's chance in Hades of making it anywhere close to another term or even finishing this one. That's my take. Anyway, y'all, thanks for watching. Please hit the like button if you like this kind of commentary and you want it to keep going. Also, hit the subscribe button. It's how we build the channel up. And while you're there, check out other amazing content we have here, including my debate with Mu'assib Hassan Youssef, also known as the son of Hamas. If you haven't seen it already, you definitely don't want to miss that debate. It's on the channel along with a lot of other stuff that I think you might find valuable. On top of that, you can hit the join button if you are so inclined. Hit the join button and become a monthly subscriber to the channel. We would love if somebody would subscribe to the channel tonight. I mean, join the channel tonight and become a monthly supporter of what we do. If you want to bypass all of that stuff, you can just go to Cash App, MLHTV, or Venmo at MLHTV. As you see, I'm up here at 3 a.m. still trying to get these reports out. It's much easier to do when I have support from staffers, when I have tech support, or when I have a full studio. All those things come with your donations. And so I'm appreciative and grateful for anything you can offer, even if it's just $1. Everybody out there who's watching, if everybody watching right now were to donate $2, we'd be able to get through this weekend having paid all of our bills. If everybody just Cash App $2 or Venmo $2. Anyway, family, I want to thank y'all for watching. Appreciate y'all, and I'll see you later.